What if I told you that one of the most powerful wealth manuals in the world is not in a business library, but in your Bible, hidden in plain sight? For centuries, the masses have read Psalm 112 and seen only beautiful poetry, a comforting song about a fortunate, blessed man. This is a fatal error. It is a misinterpretation that has kept generations of good, faithful people locked in a cycle of financial struggle, forever asking for a breakthrough that they already hold the key to. This psalm is not a song to be sung. It is an architectural blueprint. It is the precise psychological and spiritual schematic for a human being who is hardwired for abundance, a person whose very character becomes a magnet for prosperity, success, and divine favor. It is a code, and once you understand its language, the universe has no choice but to respond to your commands. The great tragedy is that this code has been treated as a passive prayer rather than an active command. People read its verses, hoping that by some miracle its blessings will fall upon them from the heavens. They wait, they hope, and they remain in the exact same circumstances year after year. They fail to understand that the psalm is not describing a man that God chooses to bless. It is describing the type of man that blessings cannot help but find. It is a description of a vibrational frequency, a mental state of being so perfectly aligned with the laws of prosperity that wealth becomes an inevitable consequence, not a random reward. The secret is not in pleading for the reward. It is in meticulously building the character that commands it. This is the truth that has been hidden from you, the missing piece in your puzzle of faith and finance. In the next few minutes, we will not merely read Psalm 112. We are going to install the operating system of the prosperous man. It describes directly into the depths of your mind, overwriting the programs of lack and limitation that have held you captive. To do this, we will use the master keys of mental technology, bequeathed to us by Napoleon Hill, a man who dedicated his life to decoding the minds of the world's most successful individuals. He provided the practical, step-by-step methodology, and the psalm provides the divine, timeless template. When you merge these two forces, the ancient spiritual blueprint and the modern psychological tools, you do not just learn about wealth, you become a living, breathing vessel for its unending flow. Prepare to activate the code that will redefine your destiny. You know the ritual well. The alarm clock sounds before the sun has a chance to rise, pulling you from a sleep that was not quite deep enough. You move through the morning with a sense of duty, a commitment etched into your soul. You work with an integrity that is non-negotiable, giving your best effort, honoring your word, and believing that good, honest labor is the cornerstone of a worthy life. You follow all the rules society has laid out for you. You are the dependable employee, the responsible parent, the faithful servant. You have built your entire life upon the foundation of doing the right thing, day in and day out, with a quiet resilience that few people ever get to witness. This disciplined path, you were told, was the guaranteed road to security and peace of mind. And yet, when the end of the month arrives, the same cold reality sets in. You sit at your table, the bills laid out before you like a recurring judgment. You meticulously manage the numbers, stretching every dollar, allocating every cent with precision. But after all the obligations are met, after the debts are paid, you are left standing in the exact same spot you were 30 days prior. It is a relentless cycle, a treadmill of effort that leads nowhere but to more exhaustion. You are running as fast as you can, fueled by faith and sheer willpower, but the scenery never changes. You are caught in a holding pattern, and the profound exhaustion you feel is not just physical, it is a weariness of the soul. Do you recognize that familiar knot in your throat as you look at your bank statement? It is a physical manifestation of a silent prayer, a desperate plea for relief that seems to dissipate into an indifferent sky. It is the quiet moments in the car or late at night when you close your eyes and ask for a sign, for a breakthrough, for an end to this relentless pressure. You have given so much, you have trusted so deeply, but the tangible rewards remain just out of reach, like a horizon that recedes as you advance. This quiet desperation, this feeling of being unheard, can begin to erode the very foundations of your faith, making you question if you are truly seen or if you have been forgotten in the grand design of the universe. And then there is the confusing, often painful observation of the world around you. You see others, seemingly less dedicated, less scrupulous, perhaps even less faithful, who appear to prosper with an ease that feels almost insulting to your struggle. Their success seems to defy the laws of effort and reward that you have so faithfully followed. This sight plants a seed of doubt in your mind. It whispers a dangerous question. Am I wrong? Is my integrity a liability? Is my faith a form of naivety? You begin to feel like a stranger in a strange land, holding on to a moral compass that everyone else seems to have discarded in their race to the top. leaving you behind in a cloud of dust and disillusionment. It is the unnerving feeling of doing everything right, but consistently harvesting the wrong results. You have planted seeds of diligence, honesty, and faith, but the harvest is one of perpetual scarcity and anxiety. How is this possible? Is there a fundamental law of the universe that you have somehow missed? You have listened to the sermons, you have read the books, you have followed the financial advice, yet the promised land of security and abundance feels more like a mirage than a destination. This discrepancy between your input and your output is the source of your deepest frustration, a quiet agony that you carry with you every single day, hidden behind a smile of placid acceptance. This is the core of your pain, the silent, haunting suspicion that you've been given an incomplete map. You feel as though you are playing a complex game, but you were only ever taught a fraction of the rules, and the most important ones were deliberately withheld. This feeling creates a profound sense of isolation, the sense that you are the only one who cannot seem to crack the code. Let me assure you, you are not alone in this feeling. Millions of good, hard-working people share this same quiet desperation, this same sense of being just one critical secret away from the life they were always meant to live. They too feel the weight of an invisible barrier they cannot name, but can feel with every fiber of their being. Your soul knows that there must be more than this. There must be a reality beyond the struggle, a state of being where your faith and your finances are not at war with one another, but exist in a state of harmonious alignment. The life you envision, one of peace, of generosity, of freedom from the constant worry about money, is not a childish fantasy. It is a divine promise. The ache you feel is the call of your own destiny. It is the tension between where you are and where you are divinely purposed to be. That persistent feeling that there has to be something I don't know is not a sign of your failure. It is the first sign of your impending awakening. Understand this. The frustration you feel is not your enemy. In fact, it is your greatest ally. It is the necessary pressure that finally forces you to look beyond the conventional wisdom you have been fed. It is the catalyst that makes you question the very programming that has kept you stuck in this cycle of limitation. This divine dissatisfaction is the force that has guided you here, to this very moment, to this specific revelation. Because your soul is finally ready to receive the truth that has been waiting for you all along, the truth about how the architecture of abundance is truly built, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. Your journey out of the desert begins now. For your entire life, you have been given a piece of advice, a mantra passed down through generations, with the best of intentions. It is a phrase that is meant to provide comfort and guidance, yet it has become the very ceiling on your potential. That advice is, work hard and trust in God. From every corner of society and even from the hallowed halls of the church, this has been presented as the complete formula for success. But this is the most dangerous kind of untruth, a half-truth presented as the whole. It is incomplete. It is like being given a powerful car, but only being told about the gas pedal, with no mention of the steering wheel. You have been pressing the pedal of hard work with all your might, but without the proper mental guidance system, you have been driving in circles, burning precious fuel, and ending up nowhere. The truth is that effort without the correct mental and spiritual alignment is like trying to fill a bucket riddled with holes. You can pour and pour, expending tremendous energy, dedicating your life to the task of filling it. You can have the purest water, representing your sincere faith, and you can have a powerful hose, representing your incredible work ethic. But at the end of the day, after all that exhausting labor, the bucket remains stubbornly empty. You find yourself tired, wet, and bewildered, blaming the water or the hose, never suspecting that the true fault lies in the integrity of the vessel itself. The failure is not in your faith, nor is it in your labor. The failure is in the unseen programming, the limiting beliefs etched into your subconscious mind that constantly drain away the abundance you are trying so desperately to accumulate. This is where we must draw a clear and powerful distinction between two paths, the path of effort versus the path of alignment. The path of effort is the way of the world. It teaches you to grind, to hustle, to force your will upon reality, believing that prosperity is a fortress to be conquered through brute force and relentless struggle. This is the path you have been on, and it has led you to exhaustion. The path of alignment, however, is the way of the universe. It teaches that prosperity is not something to be chased, but something to be attracted. It is not about working harder. It is about becoming the person for whom abundance is a natural state of being. It is about reprogramming your inner world so that your outer world has no choice but to reflect it. So, where does one find the instructions for this path of alignment? Where is the manual for reprogramming the mind to become a vessel that can hold abundance? The answer has been waiting for you, hidden in the most obvious of places, disguised by its own familiarity. We now turn to a sacred text, But we will not approach it as a piece of religious poetry. We will approach it as an engineer approaches a blueprint. I speak of Psalm 1-12. This is not a mere song of praise. It is the definitive technical specification, the divine blueprint for the man or woman who is constitutionally designed for prosperity. It is the character profile of a human being who is so perfectly aligned with the universal laws of cause and effect that their life becomes a testament to divine favor and material success. The fundamental error, the one that has kept you trapped, is reading this psalm as a list of requests you make to God. It is not a wish list. It is a diagnostic checklist of your own inner state. The psalm is a mirror. It doesn't describe what God will give you. It describes who you must become to receive. Each verse is a specific attribute, a mental frequency, a character trait that, when cultivated and embodied, compels the universe to deliver its treasures to your doorstep. It is the precise diagnosis of the character that makes abundance your natural state, not a fleeting miracle. The power is not in reciting the words, but in embodying the consciousness they describe. This is the turning point, where you cease being a beggar of blessings and begin to become a magnet for them. Centuries after these words were first written, a man named Napoleon Hill embarked upon a legendary quest commissioned by the richest man on earth, Andrew Carnegie. His mission was to spend a lifetime studying the minds of the world's most successful people to uncover a definitive philosophy of achievement. He interviewed hundreds of titans of industry, inventors and leaders, meticulously decoding their habits of thought and action, and without ever realizing it, what Napoleon Hill rediscovered through decades of scientific observation were the very same psychological principles and mental laws that were first encoded in the spiritual language of Psalm 112. Hill gave us the modern, practical terminology, like definite purpose and autosuggestion, for the timeless divine truths about the man whose heart is steadfast and whose character is his ultimate currency. Let us now begin the sacred work of decoding. We will take this divine blueprint, verse by verse, and unlock its practical, actionable power using the keys Napoleon Hill provided. The very first verse, the foundation upon which the entire edifice of prosperity is built, reads, "Blessed is the man who fears the Lord, who finds great delight in his commands." This is the non-negotiable point of entry. It is not a suggestion. It is the first law of spiritual physics. Without mastering the consciousness described in this single sentence, all other efforts to build lasting wealth will ultimately crumble into dust, because the foundation itself will be unstable. This verse contains the two primal ingredients for creating a reality of abundance: reverent respect for the law and a burning passion for alignment with it. First, we must reprogram our understanding of the phrase, "fears the Lord." In the original language, this has nothing to do with the trembling fear of a tyrant. It signifies a deep, profound, and intelligent reverence for law and order. It is the awe and respect an astronaut has for the laws of physics, or that a master sailor has for the power of the ocean. To fear the Lord is to understand that the universe operates according to precise, immutable laws of cause and effect, and that you are not the exception to these laws. The prosperous man does not try to cheat the system or look for shortcuts. He understands that his success is a direct consequence of his alignment with these divine principles, and he respects them with every fiber of his being, knowing they are as reliable as the law of gravity. Now we come to the second and perhaps most crucial component, who finds great delight in his commands. This is the secret ingredient that transmutes respect into rocket fuel. Napoleon Hill identified the number one principle of all great achievement as having a burning desire. This is what the psalmist is describing. It is not enough to reluctantly obey the universal laws of integrity, order, and value creation out of a sense of tedious duty. The blessed man feels a profound, joyful, passionate pleasure in living this way. He loves order. He is energized by integrity. He finds deep creative fulfillment in progress and service. His work is not a chore. It is the highest expression of his soul, a delightful game he plays with the universe. Consider your mind as a plot of fertile ground, a sacred garden, where you will plant the seeds of your desired reality. The universal laws, the commands, are the powerful seeds of abundance. However, your emotional state, your attitude, is the soil itself. If you view these laws of integrity and discipline as a burden, as restrictive rules you must begrudgingly follow, your soil is hard, rocky, and acidic. Nothing can grow there. But when you find great delight in them, your passion and joy become the rich, fertile loam. Your enthusiasm is the sunlight. Your consistent focus is the water. In this state of joyful alignment, the seeds of abundance do not just sprout, they explode with vibrant, unstoppable life, yielding a harvest beyond your wildest dreams. Therefore, the first mental action you must take is a radical self-audit. Ask yourself honestly, what is my emotional relationship with the principles of success? When you think of discipline, budgeting, planning, and providing immense value, do you feel a sense of heavy obligation? Or do you feel a spark of creative power? You must begin to consciously reframe these concepts. Your task is to meditate on the beauty of order, the power of integrity, and the deep satisfaction of a job masterfully done. You must cultivate a genuine passion for the very process of becoming the person who deserves success. You must learn to fall in love with the cause so the effect can manifest effortlessly and joyfully in your life. This burning desire, this delight, is what creates your vibrational frequency. When you operate from a place of joyful passion for your purpose, you emit a powerful magnetic signal to the universe. This signal acts as a beacon, attracting the people, the opportunities, the ideas, and the resources that are in harmonious resonance with it. The man who grudgingly goes to work sends out a frequency of lack and resistance, and the universe can only reflect that back to him. But the man who delights in the application of universal law sends out a frequency of abundance and creative power, and the universe rushes to match his energy, opening doors where there once were only walls. Your feeling is the prayer that is always answered. Napoleon Hill discovered that every great leader, from Henry Ford to Thomas Edison, was not merely interested in their field, they were consumed by it. They had a white-hot obsession, a desire that burned so brightly it incinerated all obstacles and doubts in its path. This is the modern translation of finding great delight in his commands. It is about choosing a definite purpose that aligns so perfectly with your soul that pursuing it feels less like work and more like breathing. When your daily actions are a source of genuine delight, you tap into a limitless well of energy. You are no longer powered by fleeting motivation, but by a deep, internal, inexhaustible source of inspiration. This delight is also the antidote to procrastination and inconsistency. When you truly love the process, you no longer need to force yourself to act. The action becomes the reward itself. The man who must use all his willpower to drag himself to his tasks is operating from a place of misalignment. His soul is telling him he is on the wrong path. But the man who feels a thrill in the execution of his plans, who sees every action as a joyful step toward his definite purpose, becomes an unstoppable force of nature. He is in a state of flow, a divine dance with creation itself, and the universe always rewards a masterful dancer with a magnificent stage. So, the first decree you must make is this: I will find and follow the path that brings me great delight. You must give yourself permission to pursue a purpose that sets your soul on fire. You must stop tolerating a life of lukewarm obligation and demand a life of passionate engagement. This is not selfish, it is your sacred duty. For when you are operating from your zone of delight, you are at your most powerful, your most creative, and your most valuable to the world. You become a living embodiment of the first verse, a person whose very existence is a testament to the blessings that flow from a joyful alignment with the divine law. This principle of cause and effect is absolute. If you want the effect of wealth, you must first fall in love with its cause. The cause of wealth is not money. It is the creation and circulation of value. Therefore, you must cultivate a burning desire to be a person of immense value. You must find exquisite delight in serving, in creating, in solving problems, in organizing chaos into order. When you make this inner shift, when your deepest pleasure is found in embodying the very principles of prosperity, the external symbols of prosperity, money, assets, influence, will be drawn to you as surely as iron filings are drawn to a powerful magnet. This is the first and most foundational secret of the prosperous soul. We now turn to the second pillar of the prosperous character, described in verses 4 and 5. Even in darkness, light dawns for the upright. Good will come to the one who is generous and lends freely. This is the blueprint for the magnetic personality, the individual whose inner state illuminates their path, and whose actions create a powerful current of good fortune. This is where faith ceases to be a passive belief and becomes an active, creative force. The man described here does not wait for conditions to be perfect. His own character creates the conditions. He is a source of light, not a reflector of it. He understands that prosperity is not about accumulation, but about circulation. Let us first decode even in darkness, light dawns for the upright. The darkness is the inevitable chaos of the world. Economic uncertainty, market crashes, unforeseen challenges. While others are paralyzed by fear and confusion in this darkness, the aligned individual has a light that dawns from within. This light is the unwavering clarity that comes from having a definite major purpose, as defined by Napoleon Hill. When you know with absolute certainty where you are going, The surrounding darkness becomes irrelevant. Your purpose is your internal guidance system, a compass that always points true north, allowing you to navigate the storm with a calm and centered confidence that mystifies those who rely only on external sight. Next, we have the phrase, "Good will come to the one who is generous and lends freely." This is the law of circulation made manifest. The common mindset, born of fear and lack, is to hoard. It is to accumulate, protect, and cling tightly to what one has. The prosperous mind, however, understands a profound truth. Wealth is like a river. If it is dammed up, it becomes stagnant and toxic. Its power is in its flow. To lend freely is not merely about giving money. It is about being a generous source of value in all its forms, lending your ideas, your support, your connections, your positive energy, your expertise. It is the practical application of the mastermind principle, the conscious circulation of value, with the certain knowledge that it will always return, multiplied. This reveals the metaphor of the prosperous soul as a conduit, not a container. The man trapped in a scarcity mindset sees himself as a bucket, desperately trying to get and keep every drop of water he can. He is in constant fear of leaks and evaporation. The truly prosperous man, as described in the Psalm, sees himself as a channel, a conduit connected to the infinite ocean of divine supply. His primary focus is not on hoarding, but on allowing as much value as possible to flow through him to the world. He knows that the wider he opens his channel to give, the wider the universe opens its floodgates to replenish him. His generosity is not a cost. It is the very mechanism that increases his capacity to receive. Your mental action here is to consciously shift your primary focus from "what can I get?" to "what can I give?" You must begin your day with this question: how can I be a source of value to every person I meet and in every situation I encounter today? This is not about being a martyr or allowing yourself to be taken advantage of. It is a strategic shift in consciousness. It is about operating from a place of such profound trust in the law of circulation that you give freely, without keeping a petty, transactional scorecard. You cast your bread upon the waters, as the scripture says, with the unshakable faith that it will return to you after many days, transformed into a feast. This principle of generous circulation is the secret behind the power of a mastermind alliance. When you lend your ideas and energy to a group of like-minded individuals focused on a definite purpose, you create a third mind, a psychic force far greater than the sum of its parts. Andrew Carnegie attributed his entire fortune to his mastermind group. He understood that by generously sharing his mental resources and inspiring others to do the same, he was tapping into a reservoir of power and insight that was inaccessible to the lone individual who jealously guarded his own ideas. Your generosity becomes your greatest strategic advantage, building you a fortress of loyalty and reciprocal value. Furthermore, the light in the darkness is a direct result of applied faith. Hill was clear that faith is not a passive hope. It is an active state of mind that must be cultivated. When your faith is placed not in the shifting shadows of the economy, but in the eternal laws of the universe, you become internally unshakable. You can look upon market downturns not as disasters, but as opportunities to acquire assets at a discount. You can see industry disruption not as a threat, but as a chance to innovate and lead. Your inner light, your faith-fueled purpose, allows you to see the hidden opportunity within every apparent crisis, giving you an almost prophetic advantage over the fearful masses. Operating from this state of generosity also dissolves the fear of lack. The man who hoards does so because, on a subconscious level, he believes that supply is limited. He believes that there is not enough to go around, and he must fight for his piece of the pie. The man who gives freely, however, operates from a consciousness of infinite abundance. He knows that the pie is not finite. It is constantly expanding. He knows that he is connected to an unlimited source, and that the more value he channels, the more he receives. Giving becomes a joyful affirmation of his own abundance, which reinforces the very belief system that creates his prosperous reality. Therefore, decree this for yourself: I am a center of circulation for divine value. See yourself as a powerful vortex through which ideas, energy, and resources flow to bless others. Practice this in small ways. Leave a larger tip. Share a useful idea with a colleague without asking for credit. Make an introduction for someone who could benefit from it. Each act of generosity strengthens your belief in abundance and widens your channel for receiving. You are not depleting yourself. You are aligning yourself with the ever-giving nature of the universe itself. This is the character of the man for whom good things are not a happy accident, but a predictable outcome. By embodying this generous, value-driven character, you become magnetic. People are instinctively drawn to the person who is a source, not a drain. Opportunities will seek you out. The best people will want to work with you. You will build a reputation not just for what you have, but for what you contribute. This is the deepest secret of wealth. Your character is your true currency. When you build a character of unshakable integrity and relentless generosity, you are building an asset far more valuable than any stock or piece of real estate. You are becoming the man described in the Psalm, the man for whom good fortune is not a matter of chance, but a matter of character. Now we arrive at the final and most powerful attribute, the psychological armor that makes the prosperous man invincible. It is found in verse 7. He will have no fear of bad news. His heart is steadfast, trusting in the Lord. This single verse is perhaps the most potent definition of a truly mastered mind in all of sacred literature. It is the pinnacle of mental and spiritual discipline. In a world that is addicted to fear, that thrives on panic and bad news, the man who can achieve this state of inner serenity becomes the calm eye of the hurricane, a master of his own destiny, completely immune to the mass hypnosis of negativity. Let us decode this with precision. He will have no fear of bad news. This is the perfect, practical application of Napoleon Hill's principle of autosuggestion and the conscious control of one's own mind. It means you have become the absolute sovereign of your mental kingdom. You stand guard at the gate of your subconscious, and you refuse entry to any thought, any news report, any opinion that does not align with your definite purpose and your faith in abundance. It is not about denying that challenges exist. It is about refusing to give them emotional energy or mental residency. You starve the fear by denying it your attention, which is its only source of life. The second clause explains how this is possible. His heart is steadfast, trusting in the Lord. What does this mean in practical psychological terms? It means his trust, his ultimate faith, is not placed in the ephemeral things of the world. It is not in his job, his boss, the stock market, the government, or the evening news. All of these things are fleeting and unreliable. His faith is placed in something eternal and unchanging, the law. The Lord, in this context, is the immutable, dependable law of the universe. He trusts the law of cause and effect, the law of circulation, the law of attraction, with the same certainty that he trusts the law of gravity. His foundation is rock, not shifting sand. Imagine your mind as a mighty fortress. The constant barrage of bad news from the world, reports of war, recession, crisis, and collapse are the enemy armies laying siege to your walls day and night. Their goal is to breach your defenses and plant their flag of fear and panic within your consciousness. For most people, this siege is successful. Their walls are weak, and fear overruns their minds, paralyzing them. But the man with a steadfast heart has built his fortress walls with the granite of unshakable faith in the law. The cannons of negativity can fire all they want, but their projectiles simply bounce off his impenetrable defenses. His inner peace is non-negotiable. This brings us to a critical mental action. You must consciously and ruthlessly curate your mental diet. You must decree that your mind is sovereign territory and you are its sole ruler. This means making a deliberate choice to turn off the fear-mongering news. It means unfollowing social media accounts that thrive on outrage and negativity. It means distancing yourself from conversations that are centered on gossip and complaint. Your mental peace is your most valuable asset, and you must protect it with the ferocity of a king protecting his kingdom. You actively choose to feed your mind with information that is uplifting, inspiring, and aligned with your purpose. This steadfastness is the ultimate antidote to the 6 basic fears that Napoleon Hill identified as the root of all failure: the fear of poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death. A man whose trust is in the eternal law is not afraid of poverty because he knows he is the creator of his own economy. He is not afraid of criticism because his validation comes from within. He is not afraid of ill health because he knows his mind has a powerful influence over his body. This trust in a higher benevolent order systematically neutralizes every fear that sabotages the average person's journey to success. When the masses are panicking, the man with the steadfast heart is calm, and in that calmness, he finds extraordinary opportunity. When the stock market is crashing and everyone is selling in fear, he is able to think clearly and buy valuable assets for pennies on the dollar. When his industry is being disrupted and his competitors are frozen with anxiety, his serene mind allows him to see the future, to pivot, to innovate, and to lead the charge into a new paradigm. His immunity to fear is his greatest competitive advantage. He transmutes the poison of collective panic into the nectar of personal power and profit. This trust is a muscle that must be developed through daily practice. You build it through meditation, by quieting the frantic voice of the ego and connecting with the silent, powerful certainty of your inner being. You build it through affirmations and incantations by deliberately speaking words of faith and power until they become the default setting of your subconscious mind. You build it by studying the lives of great men and women who faced incredible adversity with unshakable faith. You must train your mind to trust the unseen law more than you trust the seen, chaotic circumstances of the world. So your decree is this: my heart is steadfast and my mind is a fortress of faith. I do not react to the shadows on the wall. My focus remains fixed on the eternal law and my definite purpose. You must decide that your inner state will no longer be a consequence of your outer world. Instead, your inner state will become the cause of your outer world. You consciously choose the thoughts and feelings of security, confidence, and trust, regardless of external appearances. This is the final key. You are not denying reality, you are creating it. You are becoming the master of your mental kingdom. Ultimately, the man described in this psalm is a master of his own inner world. He has mastered his desire, turning it into a passionate and joyful engine for his purpose. He has mastered his character, becoming a magnetic force for good and a conduit for value. And he has mastered his mind, building an impenetrable fortress against fear and doubt. He is not wealthy because he was lucky. He is not successful because of some external blessing. He is wealthy and successful because he has meticulously, deliberately, and passionately built himself from the inside out into the very person that prosperity cannot resist. He has become the living embodiment of the law. So, where do you go from here, armed with this decoded blueprint? The journey does not end with this knowledge, it begins. I want you to imagine, just for a moment, waking up tomorrow morning, but instead of the familiar heavy cloak of anxiety about the day ahead, you feel something different. You feel a quiet, calm authority rising from the center of your being. It is the profound serenity of a person who understands the rules of the game. You are no longer a pawn on the board, being moved by unseen forces. You are the player, and you know that your character, your mind, and your alignment with the law are the pieces that will determine your victory. Imagine moving through your day with this new consciousness. You begin to look at the challenges and obstacles that once filled you with dread, not as threats, but as divine opportunities. An unexpected bill is no longer a crisis. It is a chance to activate your unwavering faith and see the law provide. A difficult colleague is not a source of frustration. They are a chance for you to practice being a generous source of value. You begin to see your entire life as a magnificent gymnasium designed to strengthen the spiritual and mental muscles of the prosperous soul. Every moment becomes an opportunity to apply these principles and witness their immediate and powerful effect in your reality. The great shift in your understanding must be this: the transformation you seek will not happen when you finally receive the blessing from the outside. You have been operating under a false premise about the sequence of creation. The abundance, the prosperity, the peace you desire has already been released. It is a constant, ever-present spiritual reality, an infinite ocean of supply that is always available. It is not being withheld from you. God is not deciding whether or not you are worthy of it. It simply is. The rain of abundance is falling and has always been falling upon everyone equally. The rain falls, but it can only be collected by a vessel prepared to receive it. The blessing is simply waiting for you to become the person described in Psalm 112, the person who is vibrationally and constitutionally aligned with its frequency. Think of it like a radio signal. The music of abundance is being broadcast from the heart of the universe 24 hours a day on a specific frequency. It never stops. If you cannot hear it, it is not because the broadcast is weak. It is because your receiver is tuned to the frequency of static, the frequency of fear, lack, and limitation. Your work is not to beg the broadcaster to play the music. Your work is to build and tune your receiver. Therefore, your primary task, beginning this very moment, is not to ask. It is no longer to plead or to beg or to bargain with the heavens. Your new sacred task is to become. Your sole focus must shift from seeking external results to cultivating the internal causes. You must become so obsessed with building the character of the prosperous man that you have no time left to worry about whether the prosperity will arrive. You must understand that the becoming is the arrival. The moment you fully embody these attributes, the manifestation of their material equivalent is an absolute and automatic certainty under the law. So here is your call to transformation, your first step on this new path. Tonight, and for the next 30 nights, I want you to take Psalm 1-12 and read it not as a prayer you send to God, but as a mirror you hold up to your own soul. Go through it line by line and ask yourself with radical honesty, where am I in alignment with this? And where is there dissonance? Use it as your personal blueprint for reconstruction. Identify the weak points in your foundation, the lingering fears, the scarcity beliefs, the lack of a burning desire, and resolve to rebuild them with intention and discipline. Commit yourself to this great work. The most important project of your life is not your business, your career, or your investments. The most important project is the construction of the man or woman described in these sacred verses. Meditate upon this blueprint daily. Use its principles as your compass. Cultivate a genuine delight for order and integrity. Decree that you are an unwavering source of value to the world. Build the fortress of your mind until your faith in the law is more real to you than your five senses. This is the path of true power. This is the path of alignment. Forget everything you have been told about chasing blessings. The chase keeps them forever at a distance. You must now stand still, turn inward, and do the only work that has ever mattered. As you transform your inner world, your outer world will have no choice but to follow. It is the law. Let the old mantra of the struggling seeker fall away, and in its place, install this new, powerful, and definitive creed in the very center of your heart. Let it be the first thought in the morning and the last thought at night. Remember the ultimate truth of the prosperous soul. I do not ask for blessings. I become the person who attracts them.